Alright guys, this is Adam from Thoughts in Motion, and today I'm going to be answering one very simple question that a lot of people have asked me, and that is, what did you actually learn from your trip to Miami? So I'm going to tell you one pretty big story that hit me pretty hard in the feels. But a bit of backstory, the idea behind this guy's speech was that everyone has a front that they feed, and that front is put on to everyone else around them, and it can stem from like things that happen in childhood and various other different things, and it's not authentic to who we really are and who we really should be. So the story goes, we were in the seminar room. We'd been there all day. We were all pretty tired until this guy came on, this guy called Julian, and he talked a lot about the idea of the front, and that we all have this front that we put on, and he said that later on he was going to bring people up and destroy their fronts. And this guy throughout the whole seminar, he'd made a few cocky comments that made people laugh. Like, he was very class clowny, and you know, he had this like lovely blue shirt on, like bright white pants, like he stood out. And what Julian did was, he says, I want you up on stage when I get the examples up. And this guy's like, yes, loving it, you know, like loving the attention. And when Julian got him up on stage, you know, he's got his hand on him, giving him a hug, he's like doing this to the audience, he's loving it. And he says, I want someone that's the opposite of this guy. And of course I'm like, me. And of course that was wrong. He didn't want someone that fucking put their hand up. So he gets this guy up, and I'm not kidding, this guy is like nearly 8 foot tall. Really lanky, sort of like hunched shoulders, glasses, like come back here. Like, he was a cool guy. I talked to him afterwards, but you know, we're gonna say that he was like very traditionally nerdy looking. And so he's on stage with this class clown guy, and Julian turns to the class clown guy and he says, I'm gonna destroy your front first. And this guy's like, all right man, cool. And Julian's like, how do you feel? And he's like, feeling all right man, feeling all right. And then he says, okay, I want you to narrate what's going on in your head. And the guy's like, okay. He sits there and he goes, let me show everyone. And then Julian just smacks this chair. And the guy just keeps talking. He's like, whoa. You didn't think of me hitting the chair? Like, if you were narrating what's in your head, why didn't you think about me hitting the chair? And the guy's like, well, I thought you just got mad at me. And he's like, well, if you thought that, then say that. So he starts narrating more in his head, and he starts more telling a story rather than what's actually going on inside. And Julian's like destroying him and hitting him down. And he says, okay, let's try anything. He says, I don't like this class clown front. He says, you as a person right now disgust me. And we're all sitting in this room like, oh shit, like it just got real. And we're all like, is he serious? And this guy at the back laughs, and Julian's like, don't you fucking laugh because I'm serious. This class clown front fucking disgusts me. I would never fucking hang out with you ever. And this class clown guy, he sits like this in the chair, and then eventually his shoulders slowly start to come forward as he sinks into himself. And it was really hard to watch this guy sort of like, because we liked the class clown front, we liked it, but there was part of us that knew that it wasn't real and that it wasn't who he actually was. And Jim's like, you disgust me. He literally says, you watch my videos, don't you? And he's like, yes. And he's like, how does it make you feel that someone that you look up to says that they would never fucking hang out with you and that they fucking disgust you? And he's like, that makes me feel sad, you know? And he starts to sink into his feeling, and he tries to like laugh it off, and Julian's like, don't you fucking laugh that shit off. He says, I want you to go into that pain and feel it. And this guy sits on stage, and he starts to tear up, and he's like, how do you feel? And he's like, I'm okay. And he's like, are you sure? Because you're kind of starting to cry there. And he's like trying to laugh and escape it. And he's like, notice the tendency to always escape. And then he kind of relaxes for a bit, and he says, I feel like if I don't make people laugh as the clown, that I'm not worthy of people, that I'm not worthy of people loving me, and like I don't want them to see my pain. And we were all sat there feeling this guy's emotion and feeling how bad this guy felt right now, but we also felt that it was real, that it was coming from a place deep inside that was authentic. And then Julian says, look, I don't mean it, you're not really disgusting me, but I had to get through to you. And so they stand up and hug, and we all cheer him. And then he turns to the nerdy guy and he's like, now you. And this guy's like, shit, you know. So he says, what I want you to do is that I want you to turn and face the audience. So this guy's sitting there and he's playing with his bracelet, and he's like, feel really nervous. And Julian's like talking over the top of him, and he's like, look at him playing with his bracelet, he's sweating, he's nervous, he's fidgety, blah, 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 blah. And this guy's like, ugh. He hates being on stage, he hates being the center of attention because he's so introverted compared to the other guy who was very class clowny. This guy's very introverted. And he says, okay, narrate what's going on in your head. And he does the same thing. He starts saying, my heart's racing, like I'm scared. And again, Julian hits the chair. And this guy kind of jumps when Julian does that. But he doesn't acknowledge it, he doesn't verbalize it. So again, he's like, I love this. I love how you don't acknowledge the fact that I hit the chair. And then he says, what I want you to do is, I want you to scream. And this guy's like, what? Like really quiet, like, what? And he's like, yeah, I want you to scream. He says, I want you to let it out. And he's like, he takes this big deep breath and he goes, ah, really loud, you know. And then he kind of sits back, and there was a moment where he kind of felt like more relaxed after that, after he let that out. And then Julian's like, okay, now I want you to top me. I want you to scream louder than me. So Julian goes, ah, and this guy goes, ah, and then it just gets louder and louder. And then he says, right, now I want you to narrate what's going on in your head again. And the guy, his voice picks up as well. He goes, you know what, I feel a bit better. Like, I feel like I let out a bit. I feel a little bit less nervous now. And he's like, and Julian's like, okay, right, okay, take your shirt off. And the guy's like, ugh, like he starts fidgeting again, you know, because his anxiety comes back. You can see the sweat coming off this guy. So he takes off his t-shirt, and he's this scrawny little dude. And he's like, right, okay, I want you to scream again. So he has to do the screaming thing, and he has to, he retreats back into his head. He doesn't verbalize his emotions. He retreats back into the story that he has to tell. And Julian's like, no, I want you to verbalize it. I want you to talk for 20 seconds about something that you're passionate about. And he's like, go. And the guy's like, gambling, I love to gamble. And he's like, wait. Do you see that this guy clearly doesn't like to gamble? And everyone's like, yeah, like we didn't feel the realness. So he stops for 20 seconds and he tries again. He's like, imagine if you could turn $50 into whatever. And Julian like flips the chair and he goes, no, that's not passion. He says, I want to hear something that you're passionate about. He says, I want you to be so passionate that everyone breaks down and cries. And he's like, he doesn't know what to say. And then he's like, I don't know what to say. And Julian says, sit with that pain for 20 seconds. So that the room goes silent for 20 seconds. And we all sit there like, and this guy's on stage going, and he just goes, I feel like a fuck up. He says, I know I've got a good opportunity for a reference here and I'm fucking it up. Like I know that it's something that I should be able to do and I just can't, as if there's a wall that I just can't get over and I can't let it out and all this. And he goes silent again and Julian's like, you just did get over it. By letting that out and letting that frustration out in that way, that was the authentic self. I'm sitting off to the side nearly in tears, like, you know, feeling this guy's pain, because like that would have been me. I would have literally cried on stage and be like, I can't handle that. But you know, like you realize that everyone hides things that they think aren't acceptable, that they can't show people, that it's like unacceptable to show the authentic side. Like if like he mentioned a lot of going back to childhood, like when you're a child and you're told that it's wrong to be loud, part of you grows up believing that you can never be loud. So if someone says be loud, part of you is like, it's wrong, it's unacceptable. And you know, it's not all childhood, some of it's learned and across the years and through different traumatic experiences that happens. But it was amazing because I went home that night and I thought, what front am I putting on? Is my cocky, arrogant self, is that a front, or is it actually who I am? Is it authentic? And it made me sit there and question in my hotel room exactly who I am inside and what is my actual, what is the front that I put on. And I'd ask you to do the same. I'd ask you to sit there and think, is what I'm saying and doing, is it authentic to who I am, or is it a front that I want everyone else to see? And that because I've learned all this unacceptable things that I'm stuffing down, what would happen if I let it up? And he had these two guys on stage to show that if you let it up, nothing bad, you don't die. Everyone actually craves that. Everyone craves that authenticity. So there's parts of my videos that obviously, like the whole, hi guys, welcome back to the channel, that's kind of fake. That's kind of like a front. But then when I get into this sort of thing, this is me expressing, you know, how I felt in that moment. Like I was terrified for this guy. Like I was sitting in my chair nearly crying for this guy. Like I'm not, like, if I said no, I was manly, I just thought it was a pussy thing to do, that's a front. But if I sit there and say, you know what, it actually really got to me, and like I felt like I wanted to be on stage to prove to everyone that I was cool on stage, but had I got on stage, I would have just broke down like that guy. He would have broke straight through my front. It's like, you know, a lot of people that I know have a confident front on, and then if you confront them about it, they sort of shy away from it, as if like their personal shield is being attacked. But you can't attack true authenticity. You can't attack it because it's too real to be overcome. There's nothing else behind that, if that makes sense. So behind the front is the authenticity, and behind that is nothing. That is you. That is the back layer of you. Now, there's more to that story. I mean, we crowd surfed him afterwards. It was hilarious. And then he split the room in two and made us shout and overcome each other. So he made the other half of the room shout at us, and then we would have to shout back, and then louder and louder and louder and louder. And I remember I went up to Julian afterwards and I said, dude, that was, I didn't know what to say. I just went, dude, that was trippy. Like, I genuinely didn't know how to describe it other than trippy, because not only did he break these two guys' front down, but he also partially broke mine down as well, because I got to see what true authenticity was like, and I loved it. You feel connected. Like, I liked the guy's class clown front. I liked it. It was funny. It was amusing. But I wouldn't have connected on that deep level unless he'd let out his emotions. So from that, I want you to take away is to go and sit with yourself and really just feel the authenticity and try and let up some of the feelings that you're stuffing down. And it's painful. It is painful to look at, but nothing bad happens. You don't die from it. It doesn't kill you. No? Just try and feel real, feel authentic, and you'll realize that it's actually an amazing feeling to let it out. And people will connect with you on a much more deeper level. So that was my biggest revelation from Miami. I hope it was a decent story. I'll try and find the video of that event. And if you want to find it, you can message us on Facebook and I'll send you the link. But other than that, keep being real.